This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Chief Justice says a Klansman audio limbo is the lead investigator's fault. Chief Justice Brian Sykes has laid the blame for the hiccups being experienced by the prosecution in getting the court to hear the secretly captured recordings of conversations between alleged members of the Klansman gang squarely at the feet of the lead investigator. The problem that you are having, is that this is a lazy man work that went on here. That's the basic problem here, because the investigator did not do what was required of him, and this is a situation in which the technological capability was available, the Chief Justice said Thursday in a bruising criticism of the cop who risked a life and a limb by posing as a relative of a gang member and entering the Klansman's lair to collect guns and ammunition in building the case against the criminal organization. The Chief Justice's blistering remarks came while a representative from the Crown was making the legal submissions requested by the judge to satisfy the tribunal that the phones used in the recording of those conversations meet the admissibility standards under the Evidence Amendment Act 2015. The submissions became necessary after several admissions made by a cyber incident response specialist who had told the court that in 2019 he conducted digital forensic examination on the three handsets, a black Alcatel, a black Vonino XY10Z, and a gray Samsung, which are key to the matter, and that he produced a report following the examination of the gadgets, all of which have been successfully tendered and admitted into evidence. However, in being asked by the Chief Justice whether he had done any analysis to see where the audio on the phone originated, the expert witness said he had not. According to the witness, this was because the compact disc that he prepared and actually had done to get feedback from the investigator, hence the reason it was marked not for court. He said upon receiving that feedback, the in-depth analysis would have been conducted, which would encompass the details the Chief Justice was querying. According to the witness, the results of that analysis would then have been presented in the final report in order to produce a final evidence package, which is what would have been presented to the court. He, however, told the court that in this case, that a final analysis was not done by him, as he did not get the complete feedback from the investigator in order to create the final evidence package, and he had also left the Jamaica Constabulary Force before the feedback was given. On Thursday, the Chief Justice, who indicated that he will be making his ruling on the issue next Monday, said, "This is not a case where the police didn't have the technical competence. It's not a case that they didn't have the wherewithal or the know-how or the equipment. It's a question of the investigating officer just getting the thing and deciding to take some shortcut." Now, as to whether the statutory standard is still met in another question, but that is essentially the problem that you are having. The prosecutor who was making the submission replied, "Yes, my lord, we are totally in agreement with that," but added, "What we are saying is that in the absence of a report from an expert, my lord, we still have left a witness who speaks to his operations of the device." The Crown, in its arguments Thursday, asserted that it had met its burden of proof by calling witness number one and the computer expert. We posit that the testimonies of both have met the standards of the Act by being oral evidence from which it can be inferred that the computers at the time of the recordings were in good working order. The recordings were listened to and transcribed by police officers who prepared transcripts. The prosecution is asking the court to consider the evidence of witness number one. He himself downloaded a recording application on each phone and set it to record automatically, and each time he made a recording, he was able to access that recording and further send that recording to the investigating officer, the Crown stated. We further submit that at no point in the evidence was it revealed that these recordings were in any way interfered with or that the witness was unable to access them, having initially made them, the Crown said, going further to argue that the fact that the witness was able to identify these same recordings in the form of extractions on a different device, the court should apply the presumption that at the time the recordings were being made, the device that he used then was in good working order. In the meantime, attorney Lloyd McFarlane, who represents the alleged leader of the gang, Andre Blackman Bryan, in his submission, argued that the prosecution had not proved its case in that respect, as it relied heavily on the evidence of the computer analyst, who, under questioning by the court, conceded that his report did not determine if there was any malfunction of the software at the time of the recording. Charging that the prosecution has come up short, he said the court still requires some clear evidence, either that at all times the devices were operating properly or that at the time they were not operating properly, their accuracy was not affected. An interference is not enough, the burden is not satisfied, he declared. Meanwhile, Justice Sykes, referring to a 1989 case, said the argument advanced by the Crown is not unusual or odd. The trial judge, in adjourning the sitting, stated that he has been looking at the case law and will be looking further. I will let you know what I think on Monday, he stated. Witness number 1, a former gang member turned a Crown witness, had testified that he turned over to the police 3 phones, 2 of which were given to him by the cops, with recordings of conversations between himself and the members of the gang, including Bryan. The witness, who said he started working with the police undercover in 2018 to help dismantle the gang while Bryan was incarcerated, had told the court that the 3rd handset was given to him by a member of the gang on Bryan's orders. He said he downloaded a call recording app to automatically tape multiple cell phone conversations, which were also saved. He forwarded the recordings to cops when the memory became full. Wright demands apology from Golding. Controversial Westmoreland Central Member of Parliament George Wright is demanding an apology from opposition leader Mark Golding, who he has accused of verbally assaulting him during Thursday's ceremonial opening of Parliament. Wright, who last year resigned from the governing Jamaica Labour Party after a video emerged of a man assaulting a woman with his fist and a stool, was admonished by opposition members when they realized he walked among the group, making the traditional trek up Duke Street. He is said to have been the man in the video, a claim he has neither confirmed nor denied. I've been verbally attacked by opposition leader Mark Golding, saying that someone must have sent me, which I find very disheartening, Wright told the news following the sitting of the lower house on Thursday. He said that as a sitting MP, he is entitled to the march, which is customary for the opening of Parliament. Wright, who acknowledged that he was no longer part of the government benches, said this automatically meant that he had to walk with the opposition People's National Party. As a leader who wants to lead this country, it doesn't look good to be verbally attacking a member of Parliament in that manner. I wish and hope that the Ombudsman would have seen this going viral and take quick action, he said, referring to Donna Parchment Brown, the watchdog of political conduct. I'm not pleased and I would like a public apology from Mr. Mark Golding. Golding and the opposition cohort were heading from the southern end of Duke Street towards the Gordon House when Wright was spotted by St. Andrew Western MP Anthony Hilton. George, Hilton said, alerting his colleagues to Wright's presence among the party. At that time, members of the JLP were making their way to Gordon House from the opposite end of Duke Street. "Why you walking with us? You're not a PNP, said Golding. "It's a direct disrespect. Is send you to do this?" he added. In a news interview hours later, Golding doubled down on his position, calling Wright's presence among opposition MPs a despicable situation. He referenced the viral video which captured the man beating the woman, noting that after its emergence, Wright was ostracized by being made to sit with the parliamentary opposition. They're pretending he's no longer a part of the government. He votes on every issue with the government. Whenever he speaks in full support of the government. He's not part of the opposition, Golding argued. I said to him, you should not be walking with us. You are not one of us. You are not part of our group. It is an insult and a disrespect to us for you to be trying to do that, Golding relayed, insisting that Wright was pushed by the government MPs to walk with the opposition. He denied that his communication with Wright was abusive and they said there was no reason for him to apologize. I haven't said anything that's worthy of an apology. If he's maintaining that he's independent, which is a farce and is a lie, he should have walked independently of us, Golden charged. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.